What is up, everybody? Timberverse here today, and we have to talk about this guy who works at Riot Games, or my bad, Remedy Games, who people who make the Alan Wake series, is talking about how he feels the pain with the people at Larian Studios. Those are the people who makes the Baldur's Gate games. When they really talked about how the Xbox Series S has limitations to them making a game to develop for the game, and when this news gets out there from a bunch of developers, Sony fanboys are going to run with this nonsense saying the Xbox Series S is holding back gaming or it's just way too weak, so they're pushing that narrative. And then it's kind of like these developers are just giving fuel for that ammunition just to fuel the console wars even further by saying the Xbox Series S is just way too weak, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I'm sure I'm not a developer. They are has way more expertise about this subject than I do, but it just doesn't make any sense to me, especially with the Baldur's Gate situation. That game isn't that visually impressive. There's been a lot more visually impressive games on the Series S as of to date. So I don't understand why this is that big of an issue. Like, why are they making this like it's holding back gaming? When I believe this game is going to be on Steam Deck, I was like, that's a low end PC. No way you could tell me the Steam Deck is powerful than the Xbox Series S, or even lower end PCs. This game could just play just fine on a low end PC over the Series S. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. And also, when you think like the Nintendo Switch, it's like Nintendo Switch can play The Witcher 3. So it's like I'm just not understanding how they're having so much issues with the Series S when it's like weaker hardware. You see, like, their games can work on weaker hardware, or like equivalent games from like different studios can work on weaker hardware, like the Switch. Like, you can't tell me this has to be harder than putting The Witcher 3 on Nintendo Switch. You just can't. I just can't fathom that at this point. But this is what the guy at Remedy said about Baldur's Gate 3 on the Series S. I feel Larian's pain on the Series S. It's not about just optimize at the end. LOL, nah, you have to take into account the technical limitations from the beginning of development. Nobody really wants to think of that when you start making your game, when everything is possible. Now, is it just these guys being lazy and just need to get to work, or they have a valid concern that the Xbox Series S, that's just the only console holding back gaming, not the last generation consoles, not the Nintendo Switch, not the Steam Decks, but the Series S is just holding back gaming apparently, because we had reports of Respawn making Star Wars Jedi Survivor to be on Xbox One and PS4 consoles. So it's just fascinating how you got these type of developers making games for the last gen. They're not talking about being held back or anything like that, but Remedy is joining forces with Larian and say how it's just such a pain to make games to the Series S. Now, I think Star Wars is debatable. If Star Wars Jedi Survivor is more graphically demanding than Alan Wake 2, it's debatable, but it's just like, why are these other studios having no problem with the Series S, but these other studios are? It's just a skill issue or what? I don't know, but let's see what people have to say about this comment, because it is very concerning at this point when you see developers who keep coming out and saying this nonsense, and then they are like super detailed. They're just super vague about why the Series S is giving them issues, and when they do that vagueness, Sony fanboys just run with it and just add more fuel to the console war fire at this point. So, and then we see some developers who their games are just super indie and just not that great looking, like the Iron Fish developer or the people who made the Quantum Era game. Those games don't look visually demanding, but they're still complaining about the Xbox Series S. It just doesn't make any sense. But let's see what people have to say about this. The minimum specs for PC are below the Series S, CPU and GPU. Question is the problem with the VRAM/memory. Yeah, this is a lower end PC, which they are complaining about this is holding back their games, but they're complaining about the Series S. Doesn't make any sense. So once again, this is this guy congratulating the people at Larian. He's supportive, okay. Unless the game looks like Avatar the movie, I don't want to hear any excuses. Because they swear that their games look so just visually impressive at this point. So the Series S just can't handle it apparently. I don't know. It seems like it needs to be more like descriptive of what the issue is. Because right now it just doesn't make any sense to anybody outside the game developers little bubble. This person says, would you say that Alan Wake 2 would be different / more ambitious game if it were not for the Series S? Then he responds, says, we have always said we are building a real next-gen experience, and I think that we showed on PS5 at Playdays held that promise up pretty well. That's still pretty vague. Like, just say what the issue is. Like again, they sound like politicians. Like, say what the issue is. Like, you came on and specifically point out the Series S. Just say what the issue is. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You already have to keep in mind that you're developing for the PC, right? Unless you're developing console only, you already have to deal with hardware limitations. And he says, take my word for it, PC build just scales differently. It just isn't that easy on X and S for a multitude of reasons. I'm really oversimplifying it though. Larian, Xbox Series S is too weak. Also, Larian, let's focus on the Nintendo Switch version. That doesn't make any sense. Like, that literally makes no sense. If they are making a Nintendo Switch version and you complain about the Xbox Series S, then something just sounds off at that point. Like, I don't know if they are making because I looked at an article saying this is coming to the Nintendo Switch, Baldur's Gate 3, and it wasn't really clear if this is coming to the Nintendo Switch at all. So, I don't know. But if they are working on a Nintendo Switch version, but complain about the Xbox Series S, then that's just like, what are we doing here at this point? Like, this person says, if that is so how are you still making great games for last-gen consoles, low-end PCs with HDDs, and the Switch? Blaming the fact that your games are trash on the specs on the Series S is the new meta, huh? The console plays Cyberpunk 2077 at 60 frames per second. If you're telling me it can't play an isometric CRPG, the issue is not the console. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense because you can see Cyberpunk 2077, which is very visually demanding, more visually demanding than Baldur's Gate 3, but you're telling me that they can make Cyberpunk 2077 at 60 frames per second, but, his issue with Baldur's Gate 3? Like, I don't know. I think... I'm honestly thinking it's a skill issue here, but once again, I'm not a developer, so I can't really say. But who knows at this point? I think it's just a skill issue. Can you get a bit more into detail? What is the issue? The CPU, SSD, GPU power, RAM difference? They will not go into detail, which is making this more annoying because they keep saying Xbox Series S is giving them limitations, but they won't say what it is. Let's see. I think some folks trying to deflect this take or really in rebukes toward the Series S needs to realize that it is one-off developers lamenting the troubles of a system they have to support. There's a whole load of them issuing all sorts of concerns. But then again, the same developers who made I Am Fish were complaining about the Xbox Series S. I was like, are we really going to take the people who make I Am Fish seriously? Their game looks like a Flash mobile game. So it just seems like the Xbox Series S is being used as a scapegoat. And then the people, when they claim it's holding back gaming, they won't go into detail as to why. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really care because I have Xbox Series X, but I just wish they would be more detailed, give more detailed explanation as to why the Xbox Series S is just holding back gaming, so to say. I was giving them so much issues. Dude, Alan Wake 2 is being funded by the worst company, Epic, with a crappy, laggy as hell launcher. I don't think you have any room to talk. I mean, I just don't understand it because when you see like graphics cards get released, they release like a 3090, 3080, 3060, 3050. They have different scales, different ranges from these graphics cards or whatever, or GPUs. But it's just the Xbox Series that's just holding back gaming. I just don't understand it at this point. How they can make the game work on these low end PCs, but the Xbox Series that's just giving them so much trouble. Every console has technical limitations. What a dumbass take. Yeah, this definitely. This guy says, holy crap, the comments. People are definitely going back and forth because, You either got Sony fanboys celebrating this news like they just won a lottery or something, and you got people just questioning, well, what do you mean the Xbox Series S is holding back gaming when it's like you make games for weaker consoles than Xbox Series S? So what is the exact problem here? Mind you, they are still making games for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, mobile, and potato PCs, but the Series S is the only one of these devs have a problem with. Seems like an agenda. Be better, Thomas. Then we got this fanboy journalist chimes in, who says reality about Series S was obvious from the beginning. I'm still incredulous certain developers were treated for telling the truth near the console launch. Thought it was funny how some tweets from ID employees disappeared weeks later after Microsoft acquired Bethesda. Okay. It feels like every couple of days another dev comes out with a statement about the issues they have with the Xbox Series S. It is kind of seeming that way now. Like every few days or every other week, somebody says something about the Xbox Series S at this point. I really do feel like it's holding back the generation. Remedy Communications Director said so. It's like, if it is true, then go into detail as to why it's holding back gaming or whatever. Like at the end of the day, I'm not gonna lose any sleep. I don't work at Microsoft, but you can't just make these dumb statements and not clarify as to why you think it's holding back the generation. I don't know. Yeah, it's such a terrible hardware. It's holding down the opportunity to only focus on the PS5/Series X. Well, how about that? Microsoft is really holding back devs with their Trojan Game Pass console. Shocker. Once again, Sony fanboys are just running with this news. Anytime a developer, especially a developer, says something negative about the Xbox, they're just going to run with it because they're so butthurt that people like Xbox in general. So they're going to run with this news. Anyway, here's a screenshot of Alan Wake 1 on Nintendo Switch. Wait. So the people who are making Alan Wake 2 had Alan Wake 1 on Nintendo Switch, but are complaining about the Series S? That don't make any sense at all. Like, that's just ridiculous. Remedy is openly calling out the Series S. Trying to run a Baldur's Gate on the Xbox Series S. Okay, it's just ridiculous at this point. The minimum specs for Baldur's Gate 3 are worse than the Series S, so what are we doing? It's just like a whole this thing going forever about people comments about this, but I'm gonna include it right here. Once again, I just don't understand how the Series S is holding back gaming, but they can make it work for weaker platforms. Even Nintendo Switch is having some games like Alan Wake or The Witcher 3 on it, but the Series S is just giving these guys such a hard time. So I don't know. I think it's a skill issue. Maybe they have some genuine concerns about this. I definitely want to see your thoughts down below about this. Leave a like this video, and as always, thanks for watching, and peace.